guys, so I'm out today because my son hurt his foot, and I wanted y'all to still get help over this because I know that proofs are hard. Feel free to not watch this entire thing. You can just fast forward to the ones that you're confused about. I apologize for missing again, but I had to make this video for 8A kids anyway. So we're going to use our proof foldable for 1 through 10 to figure out which property it's talking about. So the easiest way to do that is to look at these examples here and see which example looks like what's being given to us. So for number 1, it's the exact same thing on both sides. So you look at these examples and you see which one gives you the exact same thing on both sides. Well, this top example here does that with the measure of angle ABC is equal to the measure of angle ABC. It's the exact same thing. So that means that this top property is the reflexive property. Okay, and then number 2, it tells you that 1 is equal to 2, 2 is equal to 4, so 1 is equal to 4, which means that what they did is they took this middle part out. So if you remember, that's pretty much like the law of syllogism. So we need to figure out which one of these does that. And if you look right here in the middle, it says A equals B and B equals C. So A equals C, and that is the transitive property of equality. Next, it's that x equals y and y equals x, so it flip-flops around itself. So we need to see which one of these is flip-flopping around itself. And if you look at the second one, it says A equals B, then B equals A. So it flip-flops around the equal sign, and that's called the symmetric property of equality. All right, the next one says if KL equals PR, then KL minus B equals PR minus B. So now they've put in minuses, which means that we need to look for something with minus, which is the subtraction property of equality. And the next one, they say if the measure of DEF equals measure of ABC, then the measure of DEF plus GHI equals ABC plus GHI. So in other words, they're adding stuff to it. So if they're adding stuff, that is the addition property of equality. On the next one, it's x equals y, and then they both are divided by 3. So if they're dividing, it's the division property of equality. And then again, we have the exact same thing on the left as we do on the right. So if you look at the very top, again, that is the reflexive property. Then you have x divided by 2 equals 7, and then x equals 14. So in order to get over here, what we had to do is multiply by 2 on both sides. So because we had to multiply by 2, it's the multiplication property of equality. And then in number 9, they're flip-flopping around the equal sign again. It says AB equals CD, and then CD equals AB. So which one does that? If you look at the second one down, the AB flips around to BA, and that's the symmetric property of equality. And then our last one, it has 2, and then in parentheses, x minus 3 over 2 equals 5, and then there's no parentheses. So what happened is they distributed that 2. So we need to look up that property, and that's the distributive, there we go, distributive property of equality. All right, on these guys, we need to come up with the reasons for each of these. So what happened from here to get to there? Well, they added 34 to each side, which means it's the addition property of equality. And then what happened to get, oh, I did this totally wrong. Sorry, that's always given. Duh. Then it's the addition property of equality. Sorry, I'm making this video at 6:14 in the morning, so I'm pretty tired. And I had a kid with a hurt foot keep me up all night. Okay, how did I get from here? Sorry, that's normally my alarm to leave for work. How did I get from this step to this step? I divided by 8 on both sides, so it's the division property of equality. On this one, of course, the first one is always going to be given. Then what we do is we would distribute, which means it's the distributive property of equality. Then from here to here, oh, wait, we just did that. That's distribute. Then from here to here, you would subtract 4x for both sides. So that's the subtraction property of equality. And then from here to here, you would add 15 to both sides. So that's the addition property of equality. Okay, so now what's happening is they give you the property, and you have to finish what it says. So the easiest thing to do is to find that property on the proof foldable. So here's the reflexive property. Look at the definition in the example and see what happens, and then mimic that for this problem. So for the reflexive property, it's the same thing on both sides. So since SE is on the right, SE also has to be on the left. And then we have the symmetric property. So the symmetric property, let's see what it says. It's the second one. Oh no, what happened? Hold on. Okay. So in the symmetric property, this is the second one down. It flips over the equal sign. So whatever was on the left becomes on the right, and whatever was on the right goes to the left, so it flip-flops. So that means these guys have to flip-flop. So over here we do the measure of angle JKL, and then the measure of angle RST, like that. All right, then the next one is the transitive property. So let's see the transitive property. So what it says is that it's like the law of syllogism, right? So it takes the middle part out. So let's see what that says. It says if the measure of F equals the measure of angle J. So it has to repeat that last one again, the measure of angle J for sure. But then to figure out what goes there, we look at the end, and it's the measure of angle L. So because these middle parts get taken out, and it becomes the measure of F is equal to the measure of L, and that's how they get this part of it. Okay. The next one is the addition property. So if you're going to add 20 to both sides, 20 has already been added to RS, so we have to add 20 to TU. The next one is the multiplication property. So for multiplying 3 times the measure of angle 1, we're going to multiply 3 times the measure of angle 2. Substitution property, we're going to sub 20 in for A. So that means we would have 5 times 20. And then on the next one, it's the division property. So if you look, they make the 3's go away. So what they did is they divided both sides by 3. So that means that measure of angle 1 will be equal to the measure of angle 2. The reflexive property. So if you don't remember what that is, it's up at the top. It's the exact same thing on the left as it is on the right. So x equals x. The symmetric property is the second one down, which means it just flip-flops over the equal sign. So A equals B becomes B equals A. So AB equals CD becomes CD equals AB. Transitive property, you take the stuff in the middle out. So the measure of angle E is equal to the measure of angle G. All right, now we have proofs. And this is the easy part because you're just going to finish this up. So subtraction means that we would subtract 6x on both sides. So it'd give us negative 2x minus 7 is equal to 7. Then you would add 7 to both sides. That's why it says addition. So that would mean it's negative 2x is equal to 14. And then you would divide by negative 2, which should be x equals negative 7. On the right side. So if we do addition first, that means that we would be adding the 9 to the other side. So you'd have x plus 9 equals 1 over 7y. And then if we multiply by 7 on both sides, so in other words, all this would be multiplied by 7, all of this would be multiplied by 7. That's what it would look like. So you'd end up with 7x plus 63 is equal to y. Oops, this stuff isn't supposed to be there, so I'm going to take it off. All right, then we need the symmetric property because we need it to say y equals. So y equals 7x plus 63. All right, now we have proofs to do on our own. So 7x minus 11 equals 4x plus 19 is the given. We're trying to prove that x is equal to 10. Do not write prove here. That is a no-no. We don't do that. So next we're going to subtract 4x on both sides, which is 3x minus 11 is equal to 19. And since we subtracted 4x from both sides, it's the subtraction property of equality. And then we would add 11 to both sides to get 3x is equal to 30. And since we added 11, it's the addition property of equality. And then we would divide by 3 on both sides to get to 10. So that's the division property of equality. All right, this one is 4 times 2x plus 11 equals 76, and that is given. We are trying to prove that x equals 4. So the first thing we would do is distribute the 4 into everything into the parentheses, which would give us 8x plus 44 is equal to 76. Then we subtract 44 from both sides, which gives me 8x is equal to 32. Then we would divide by 8 on both sides, which would give us 4. All right, we have 14x plus 3 equals 19x plus 23. We're trying to prove x equals -4. And this is given. Okay, the first thing you would do is subtract 19 from both sides, which would give you -5x plus 3 is equal to 23. Then you would subtract 3 on both sides, which would give you -5x is equal to 23. Oh, and then we actually did it in less steps. So this doesn't need to be here. Or you can move the other one up. So it could be here. Because we would subtract, I didn't actually do it. This is 25. There we go. No, it's 20. I did mention it's 6 o'clock in the morning, right? Sorry that I'm making all these mistakes. When you subtract 3, it becomes 20. And the -5 divided by 20 is -4. And so that's the division property of equality. Next proof, Hopefully this is fixed on y'all's. It was not fixed on mine, where it's equal to -1/2. This is given. We're supposed to prove x is equal to -1/2. So you distribute first. 14 times x is 14x. 14 times 1 is 14. -7 times 4 is -28. -7 times x is -7x. Then you would add 7 to both sides, which would give you 21x plus 14 equals -28. Then you would subtract 14 on both sides. So 21x is equal to -42. Then you would, it's not a half. We're trying to prove that it's equal to -2. Wow. Okay. I knew I'd messed it up, but I thought it was a half. It's -2. So then you divide both sides by 21, and it gives you -2. Is that it? Oh, that's that's all of it. Sorry that 28 was messed up so much and that I made so many mistakes. It is pretty early in the morning for me. Hopefully, I didn't confuse you too much and you're able to do this okay. Make sure that you do watch the segment and angle proof video tonight for class, or sometime this weekend, so that you're prepared for class on Monday, because we're going to go over that practice on Monday. You are not expected to do that practice. Now that we're going to school full-time, you guys are not expected to do practices at home. Those are going to only be done at school. The only thing you're supposed to be done at home is either notes or quizzes, and we're going to try our hardest to not make you do both in one night. It might happen occasionally, but we're going to try very hard not to make it happen very often. Hope you guys have a great weekend, and I will see y'all Monday.